All right, let's jump into this research paper you sent over dealing with resistance training and sarcopenia.
Yeah, really interesting stuff.
Definitely. And it's fantastic that it's open access, right?
Absolutely. Everyone listening can check it out themselves if they want to dive deeper.
Exactly. But for now, we'll unpack the highlights. So you're looking for ways to apply this knowledge, particularly to your workouts.
Exactly. Trying to fight back against muscle loss and all that.
And who isn't, right? I mean, that's a big one, and this study hits on it.
Right.
Incorporating resistance training even just twice a week can lead to a significant increase in muscle mass and strength.
It's pretty amazing, actually. In some cases, they saw it even reverse some of those age-related declines we worry about.
No kidding. So it's not just about slowing down the loss, it's about actually like turning back the clock a bit.
That's what it seems like. Building genuine strength, building resilience as we age. And that's got to be empowering, don't you think?
Totally. But I can see how getting started can be intimidating. Where do you even begin?
Well, this paper does a good job of that, actually. It lays out these ground rules, breaks it down into three key principles: specificity, overload, and progression.
And I'm guessing they're more straightforward than they sound.
Oh, for sure. Once you get past the jargony terms, it makes sense.
Okay, so let's break it down. Specificity. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but
It does, but you'd be surprised how many people miss this part. It's really about being targeted. You're telling your body what you want it to be good at.
so like if I want to effortlessly get out of a chair,
Then you need to work those specific muscles. Want to lift those grocery bags without breaking a sweat? Your training needs to reflect that.
specificity equals strategy. Love it. All right, so that's principle one. Next up, we've got overload. Now, this doesn't mean pushing yourself to the point of injury.
No,
Yeah.
no, definitely not. It's more about challenging your body beyond its comfort zone.
Ah,
Because if you're not challenging it,
you're not changing it. The body adapts, so you've got to keep upping the ante, so to speak.
so like in a video game, you're not going to level up if you keep fighting those low-level creatures.
Exactly. You got to face those bigger bosses.
Yeah.
And that's where that progression comes in. Gradually increasing that challenge. Maybe it's weight, reps, or the difficulty.
Listening to your body, but also giving it a little nudge. Finding that sweet spot between challenge and honestly what you can actually stick with. Which brings us, I guess, to the workout plan itself.
The million-dollar question, right? They actually give an example in the paper, a sample program. But before we get into the nitty-gritty,
It's important to remember it's a guideline. What works for one person.
might be a walk in the park for someone else.
Exactly. We all start from different places. But it's a good framework, I think. 2 sessions a week seems doable for most, right?
Yeah, not too overwhelming. And they focus on both, what, upper and lower body in those sessions.
Right. Hitting those essential movement patterns, the things that keep us strong and independent.
So we can still, chase those grandkids around the park.
Now you're talking. For lower body, think squats, leg presses.
Getting up from a chair, climbing those stairs, all those everyday things we take for granted, right?
Exactly. And then upper body, chest presses, rows, pull downs.
Lifting groceries, putting away dishes.
Even just giving someone a hug, you need upper body strength for that.
So true. Okay, so we've got the moves, but how do we know how hard to push? I noticed they were talking about percentages when it comes to intensity.
Right. So they recommend starting around that 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max, and then building up to maybe 70, even 85%.
Okay, hold on a second. 1 rep max. Explain it to me like I've never touched a dumbbell in my life.
So 1 rep max, it's basically the maximum weight you could lift for 1 repetition.
Okay, got it. But how do you even figure that out?
Well, there are ways to test it, but the paper also talks about using your rate of perceived exertion, RPE.
RPE. Okay. Again, for the non-gym rats like myself,
Yeah.
what's that all about?
It's basically a way of gauging how hard you're working based on, well, how it feels.
Okay, so like a scale of 1 to 10.
Exactly. 1 being, you're relaxing on the couch. 10 being you're giving it your absolute max effort. Starting out, you're aiming for around a 6 or a 7.
So you're feeling it, but you're not dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Challenging, but not totally wiping yourself out.
Makes sense. It's more about listening to your body, not just blindly following number.
Exactly. And that actually makes sticking with it way more likely. I mean, let's be honest. No one wants to feel miserable during their workout.
Not if you want to keep it up, that's for sure. And that makes me think, it's great to have this plan, but what about the motivation? Keeping it up week after week, month after month. Even I struggle with that sometimes. Did they talk about that in the study at all? I mean, that's a whole other deep dive, right? The psychology of motivation.
Right.
But did they get into that in this paper at all, that sticking with it challenge?
They did. Actually,
Yeah.
they had a whole section I thought was interesting about how it's not enough to just know.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like, we all know we should exercise, but there's a difference between knowing and actually doing it, right?
Huge difference. So what did they say? What's the secret sauce? How do we bridge that gap?
Well, a big one, and it sounds obvious, but find activities you actually enjoy. If you hate the gym, don't go.
Right.
Maybe it's swimming, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's just walks out in nature. Got to be something that makes you want to move.
Yeah, make it part of your life, not a chore.
Exactly. They also talk about setting realistic goals, right? Don't try to do too much too soon. It's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, you'll just burn out.
So, small, achievable steps. Okay, this week, 2 20-minute strength training sessions. Something like that.
There you go. Journey of 1,000 miles, one step at a time.
Or one squat at a time, right?
Exactly. They also found having some kind of social support is huge.
Oh, for sure. Having a buddy to keep you accountable makes all the difference.
Whether it's an actual workout buddy, a class, or even just a friend who checks in on your progress, that can be motivating.
Totally. Makes you feel like you're part of a team, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's what it's about, you
Right.
know? It's your health journey. It shouldn't be something you dread.
absolutely. Well, this has been fascinating. You've given us so much to think about. But if our listeners only take away one thing from all of this, what would you say it should be?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Just take action. It's great to have all this knowledge, but it means nothing if you don't do anything with it, right?
Do that.
So pick one thing from this deep dive and make it happen today. Maybe it's calling a friend to be your workout buddy, or maybe it's finally scheduling that appointment with a physical therapist for personalized advice. Whatever it is, make that first step.
Love it. Consider that your permission slip, everyone, to go out there and prioritize your health. This was an amazing deep dive, not just into the science, but also the strategies for making resistance training a part of our lives.
Absolutely. Small steps, consistent effort, you'll be amazed at what you're capable of.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, everyone, remember, you've got this.